Welcome back to the Digital Illusion Podcast, where we discuss important topics like Mumbo Jumbo. Is he actually there to help you, or is he just the reincarnated ghost of Abraham Lincoln forced to turn a bear and his bird into kitchen appliances? Justin.
Wow.
It was very important that I put that in, Justin. I've been thinking
Yeah,
about
it
that
sounds
for
like
days. I've been thinking about that for days. Justin, we have
Well,
important things to talk about.
yeah, I would say very important.
Yeah.
Almost as much as our government. That's how important it is.
What?
I don't know. It's as important as our government.
Our government
The
is very
gaming
important.
news.
Gaming news. They always, our ex-president Donnie, he was always like MLG gamers for life.
He did say,
He did
"Let's
say
make
that.
gaming great again."
That's a direct quote. All right. Well, we do have just a quick topic to talk about before we actually get into our actual topic.
Mhm.
So, I've been telling you about the Artesian Builds drama going on lately, right?
No, you
No,
haven't.
exactly. Because I told you that, like, I want to talk about it, but we're not going to talk about it until the podcast because it's funny. So here's the
Right.
thing: Artesian Builds, the PC company, I assume, like, kind of a medium-sized PC company. I don't know enough about them, but they've been pretty. They've been getting into some drama lately, and it's kind of turned out for the worst for them, and they deserve it because they're kind of douchebags.
Yeah,
Lately,
tell me.
yeah. Here's the thing: lately, their PCs. People have been noticing that their PCs are running a little slow, and so people are like, what's going on here? The PCs are just totally crapping out on people. And so it turns out Artesian Builds has been putting specific dampeners in their PCs lately because
Oh,
they just they make PCs, they don't know how to stop them from overheating. So what they do is they make the PC, I've heard that they've been making the PC run at like 10% of its power.
really?
Yeah. So no point, like, I don't understand why they've been thinking that was like a good idea. But yeah, so they've been totally screwing people over and making them pay full price on it. I don't know fully the specifics on how they have been basically making it go 10% of its power, but they've been screwing people over like that.
Wow, dude.
And along with their screw over, um, Twitch streamer Kia Pia, Twitch streamer Kia Pia, she's recently signed up to be she tried to win one of their giveaways,
Yeah.
and she won. She won the giveaway.
Okay.
She never got that PC.
Ooh.
So the thing is that live on stream, they were announcing that she had won, and just basically said, "You're not popular enough to win this. We're giving this to somebody else."
Whoa.
Yeah.
Credibility, man.
So here's a Twitter post from Kia Pia. Says, "You hear this man's voice. He's belittling me. It's slander and defamation of my stream and me as a person. I won that PC fair and square. The rules may say that you need an artesian panel in your Twitch and I do have it. So what's the issue?" He just straight up just belittled her like follower count, and like so he was like looking at her analytics and saw that she wasn't building enough followers for that for their standards. So
Yeah.
yeah, they just decided not to give it to him.
Damn.
So as of right now, Artesian Builds is doing a full on employee led buyout of the company because nobody is in support of them anymore. Like, first of
Well,
all,
why would you?
yeah, first of all, it was like the dampening of the PC power, and then it was just straight up like looking at people and saying like, you don't get this, you don't get this PC anymore.
even though you won,
Yeah.
you're
And
not
so
allowed to have a
complete
PC that's not going to run better anyway.
so this CEO straight up like ruined his company in seconds. Like 30 seconds and this guy's company just went like head over heels, you know.
Yeah, that's too bad, man.
So yeah,
I
I mean,
mean-
yeah.
Shows how corrupt rich people can be.
And it makes you think for a second, like, how many times has this happened before where you sign up for a thing and you won and they were like, what do we have to gain from this person winning, you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of a giveaway though, right? Only let people that are actually cool get it.
Yeah, so Cartoon Network, there's a Ben 10 wristwatch that I am expecting in the mail for this problem, okay?
Ooh,
Yeah.
but you're not cool.
Yeah, apparently not. This better blow up so that we can be cool and Cartoon Network
Yeah,
will send me that
blow us up
wristwatch.
so we can be cool. So we can take part in giveaway.
Exactly. So yeah, that was just basically the like quick little announcement. If you support Artesian, don't go support Kiapia and follow her Twitch.
There you go.
Yeah. So now we can actually get into our actual subject. Let's talk about some video games that failed. We talked about this in the last podcast, and we were like, you know what? This would be a great subject. Let's do it.
Yeah, so in terms of what makes a game fail, I think there's obviously a couple, I guess, hit standpoints on why it makes a game fail. Pretty much if there's no player base, I think it's failed, especially right after launch.
Yeah.
That's what we're kind of looking for here.
I feel like it's kind of like a harder to it's kind of a harder standpoint to dictate because I mean like I wouldn't say Halo Infinite failed, but it's definitely lost most of its player fan base and a lot of its
I
popularity.
would say it's actually in terms of failing right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope they can save it, but yeah.
And I know we talked about Halo Infinite last time, so I don't want to spend too much time on
Yeah.
it.
Honestly, I want to do a like the original plan was to name it like the evolution of Halo. Wow.
Halo?
The evolution of Halo. But no, I think we should call it like the de-evolution of Halo now, and then just really get into all of the problems with Infinite and then all the other games that probably had problems. So, anyway, so yeah, we have like just a big old list of games that totally flopped, either right as they released or sometime a little bit after they released.
Yeah, and there's a couple big ones on the list, mainly Anthem and Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
Being like two of the biggest ones. Brandon, if you want to go ahead and speak of the other ones.
So, I mean, we got games like, obviously, Anthem, Cyberpunk, Marvel's Avengers, which, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah.
This one,
What a
I
weird game.
completely forgot. Overkill's The Walking Dead. Do you remember this?
What was it for?
PC only. It was supposed to go to console, but it never... it just died right after release.
Was this the one that was supposed to be like Left 4 Dead?
No, I don't think so. This was the one that, it came out, it was announced around when Halo Infinite was actually announced back in 2018. It was that
Yeah,
one...
I swear it was like the one where you like go
He's-
through and it's kind of like the Left 4 Dead model of like there's stages and you go through the stages.
I don't remember. Like, I watched a little clip, so maybe we're thinking
I
about
think
the
it
same.
was.
Do you remember
Yeah,
that, like, trailer
very
of the
realistic.
old man? Yeah, and he was, like, in the
Yeah.
car on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was that one.
Yeah, so that was the one that was supposed to be like a Left 4 Dead 2 model,
Mhm.
where it was like the stages and stuff. But yeah, dude, whatever happened to that?
We'll get into that. Definitely now that you actually remember it. So we also have some other games like Superman 1999, which, obvious reasons. No Man's Sky,
Right.
the Atari ET, Crackdown 3.
Ooh,
This
yeah.
one's a fun one. WWE Battlegrounds. Yeah.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Mass Effect Andromeda and
I remember, yeah.
Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Okay.
All right, so I mean,
And I
first
think
up,
we can actually sum up everything right now, and we'll just end the podcast early. Um, everything is based. I think what makes a game fail the most is false promises or just
exactly,
over ambition. All right,
definitely.
thank you guys for watching and listening. But no. So, which one would you want to start out on?
I mean, you were very excited about Anthem when it was first announced. I
Yeah,
was pretty excited too, but I feel like you were excited most because it was supposed to be kind of like a Destiny meets Mass Effect kind of thing. So we
yeah,
each had something to be excited about.
right. So I can start out. I mean,
Yeah.
so what made Anthem seem so promising was visually amazing, right? The graphics in the game were next level. It was supposed to be this mixture of like Destiny, and you also had Iron Man elements, like you could fly
Mm.
around and kind of go battle things and get loot and all that. So that's what I was like really hoping for. Because me, knowing me, I love the looter shooter models. I love the Destiny model, the kind of MMO style, right?
Yeah, and that free roam Iron Man kind of concept, I was in love with that.
Right. And then they had these different suits and different abilities you could get like Destiny, but it made each one of these mech guys unique and the suits cool. And then the game came out.
My
You could
goodness.
fly around a very dry, non-functioning world and do literally almost nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how to describe how disappointed I was specifically when I heard all the stuff that it was crashing PCs.
Was it?
It was yeah,
Oh my
it crashed
gosh.
consoles, it crashed its own game. Like all this stuff happened where I mean the customization was so cool too, man.
Oh
Like
my
the
gosh.
colors and everything.
I know. I remember plus messing around with it. I was like, the first thing I did was try and make an Iron Man armor. You
Yeah,
know?
because it was like that fantasy of like flying around, but they overhyped it to the point where you were expecting way too much. And I think a lot of games tend to do that lately, where it's this huge false promise cash grab
Mm-hmm.
where they're trying to get you to buy their games, but they don't really care after you buy the game.
Oh yeah. No, like it's like most of the money to the game goes into the advertisement, and then where was all that money going in the game?
Exactly. And the thing with like Cyberpunk and 2, right? I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
game was hyped for years.
Oh, my brother was still in high school when they announced that.
And now look at it.
Yeah.
The visual effects terrible. They're barely working on fixing all of that stuff. The the one thing that stands out in my head the most was when someone threw a frag grenade into the water. You watch it explode in 2D.
Oh my
They
gosh,
finally
yeah.
added an animation for that now. Like
And the funny
almost
thing is,
how long has it been since it's out?
oh man, it
What, like
came
a
out.
year?
It came out about a year ago, I think. Let me double check on that.
It's this false promise and this, I guess, laziness that comes to all these games now, where no one really wants to listen to their fan base. And that's why I'm actually, I'm excited for more Destiny stuff, is because it feels like Bungie's one of their only companies that are actually listening to players a lot more.
I mean, I can also hope that Destiny gets a lot of good content because, I mean, I'm not too happy about the Sony purchase, but I mean, Sony has money, which they
Yep.
also waste a lot on advertisement, but they still, let it go to their games as well. So,
Right, yeah. But I
um,
know Sony with that thing, obviously we've said I think it's not going to become a Sony exclusive or anything, or
yeah,
like PlayStation exclusives are not coming back or anything like that. So
yeah, definitely not
or at
happening
least
that
out of
way.
the clear of that.
But yeah, by the way, it's even worse. Cyberpunk came out in 2020, so 2 years ago.
Ooh, yeah, 2 years ago, and they've barely fixed these graphical errors.
Mm-hmm. I
The
mean, not
world
even
is
not
still
even that.
unpolished.
Not even that. People still see T-posing player models
Oh, yeah.
running around.
I mean, obviously the AI is still terrible.
Yeah.
Like all this crap, and they promise so much, which is what makes me nervous for Lego Star Wars, right? I mean, that was a game in our childhood. That was
Hmm.
something we loved to play, and just seeing those trailers now, it looks so well made,
Hmm. It's like
like
kind of like
so intriguing.
it's exactly how we remember it for some reason. Like you go back and play
Yeah,
those games now, and it's like so different. But you like see the trailer for the new one. It's like that's how we remember those games. Like that's how it was when
right.
we first played it.
So I mean, that's what scares me now. It's like we can't even be confident in the games coming out from all this other stuff that has been announced, you know?
No, I mean like I'm kind of I'm hoping for some better games and stuff like that because we've also been seeing a lot of movies coming out lately that are pretty trash, and then like movies come out and they're trash, and then all of a sudden lately some movies have been coming out and it's like the greatest year for movies or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, what brings me back is, do you remember when Apex Legends was first coming out?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was super
I
hyped for
really
that.
liked I really liked how they released it. They didn't mention much of it,
No,
and then it just came out. Like,
I mean, it didn't really like connect with a lot of people so far because people were too busy with Fortnite and
right.
um. But I mean, it's getting more and more of a player base as it goes on. It really got its slow start to like in my opinion,
Right.
which was
But
sad. Yeah.
I think what they did right though was obviously it wasn't an overhyped game.
No.
I mean,
Like I
when it first
remember.
came out, people were on it like, "Oh shoot, like Titanfall, blah blah blah, or whatever," right?
Yeah.
But like we said, it is still being played today. Like it's how I think it came out in like what, like 2018, 2019, 2018.
Not even that.
I
I'm
think it
pretty
was
sure it
20. I think
came
it
out
was
way
2018.
sooner. Let me. I think it came out sooner. Gosh, hold on. I gotta pull down
Because
the.
I remember working when I was working at a Sprint store. I remember hearing about it, and then me and my friend went to go home and play it. I think it was 2018. I could be very wrong on that. Fact check me,
Um,
please.
I'm trying, but for some reason they don't want to let me fact check that.
Well, then I'm right.
2019.
2019. Okay, so
Wow, that didn't. It seemed like
yeah,
it
because
was
I
sooner.
remember hearing about it and stuff like right as it came out and playing it, and I was working. But whatever. Besides the point, I think games need to kind of go to that standpoint with their releases. Obviously, they could probably like mention it, but I don't think they should show anything.
No, like honestly, like, and stop lying about your games and your adverts.
Exactly, which brings us to No Man's Sky.
Yeah. We need to get. We have a. I did write down that we need to get into like game adverts and stuff like that. And just talk about how like game adverts are terrible.
Right.
But yeah, No Man's Sky. That was a lie.
The entire concept of No Man's Sky was a lie.
Oh yeah.
From cooperative playing to really super diverse gameplay. Um, at launch, it was so underwhelming. Overwhelming yet underwhelming at the same
Yeah,
time.
because it's like the only kind of game. I can't think of a game that's done that in recent memory. That's just an infinite universe to like a full scale planet and stuff like that. Like it was a
Right.
great idea, just poorly executed.
And obviously that game's going to take years and years to develop completely,
Oh yeah.
right? Which brings me to a point of early access, right? Games have been doing early access for a very long time. Why wasn't No Man's Sky released as an early access like, hey, we understand that
Hmm.
this game isn't done, but you're welcome to play it right now if you want.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Cyberpunk failed, is because it wasn't ready. But I mean, a lot of people. Do you remember they were threatened, like death threats, to get that game out because they kept delaying it
Yeah,
because they announced it way before they wanted to do it,
exactly, dude.
and it failed because of that. Because I mean, they were getting death threats, and they were just like, "Fine, have it," and then they released the game, and more death threats came because they were like, why is this game so trash? And it's like, because you wanted it like that. Like, it's like the SpongeBob thing. Like, I don't like pistachio. Then why did you ask for it?
Exactly, dude. Which Halo Infinite didn't do.
Oh
We asked
my
for
gosh.
everything. They said you get everything, and yet they gave us nothing.
Oh my gosh. And like, I get it. Sometimes like games like want to do like a slow release, but don't do that. You're just money grabbing.
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying don't really announce the game until you know for sure that you are going to be able to put it out within 1 to 2 years, right?
Yeah. Like it's just
Okay, so I mean, I'm asking for 1 to 2 years. I really would like it to be like 6 months.
well, yeah. I mean, like let's take this into account. Dead by Daylight. I wouldn't say that's failed per se, but it's definitely not as popular with the common like group of people because like to me Dead by Daylight is a very repetitive game, and that's what makes it so hard for me to play it at most points. But they do their advertisement and releases right. I got to give them credit on that, because they don't mention they'll give hints to their next killers for the game and stuff like that, but they won't announce it until they're ready for it. So you'll get
That's cool.
so you'll get an announcement, and then like a week later you'll get some early test builds and stuff like that. And by then that game, like that killer is usually like forget that it's an early test build because it's actually really done well. Like you don't see a whole lot of glitches and stuff like that. Like they release it right. Like that's how most games should be doing their advertisements of like, hey, it's ready. Here you go.
I think every game should be doing that, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, there's going to be the flops. That's kind of inevitable with the gaming world. Not everyone's going to like your game, whatever. That's normal. But every game needs to be doing this thing where it's not this, oh, let's see if we can make, what is that thing called every year? I don't even remember what it's called everything anymore.
Every like
Oh, what is it called? The expo for games.
E3.
E3, yeah.
Oh.
See, I don't even remember it anymore.
We
'cause I
need
don't
to
even
do
watch it.
we need to do like a podcast on E3 when the next E3 comes out. I think that would be so fun.
I agree. But E3s, right? It just seems like everyone wants to hurry and dip their toes into the pool to say, hey, we are building this amazing experience.
Well, that's the time you should do it. But like
But the thing is, like Elder Scrolls, they announced it was in development, right?
I forgot about Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 is in development, but not in development. Like, it was this really weird thing of like, hey, yeah, we're going to be building it, but probably not for a while until we're done with Starfield.
It's really
sad. But they still teased it.
Yeah.
I was like, why even say anything? You might as well just give us no expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mention the game at all. Because then we can't build our expectation or hope. I mean, obviously, we're going to have hope of like, oh, I hope they make a new one, blah, blah, blah. But you've given us this hope now, and it's like, okay, now we even have to wait even longer. And so you're generating all this hype for no reason.
And now we have to do what I just did and completely forget it existed.
Yep.
And now I'm just really sad because I'm realizing Skyrim Grandma is never going to see that game released. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, Shirley Curly, dude.
Is that her name?
Shirley Curry or something like that? Yeah.
Oh, that is adorable. The only thing that they've announced about that game is that she's in it.
Right, and they did show like the development team using I remember seeing that now too. But
that's it. I mean,
that's
like
my problem, right? Is like they gave us this hope of like, oh hey, we're doing it, but we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wait for is it Starfield? I think that's the name of it.
No, I think that's out. I've seen people playing it.
Not the new Skyrim, not the new Bethesda one. What is it called?
Starlink? No.
That's
Elon Musk's. I think that's Elon Musk's Wi-Fi.
Let's see, new Bethesda game. You can cut this part out until I find it.
Yeah, I'll do a lot of cutting.
It's releasing. They say this year on November 11th, and yes, it is called Starfield, and it's not out yet.
Really? I've been seeing a lot of. What have I been seeing people play? Star Citizen. That's what I've been thinking it is.
Oh, okay, okay,
It's. I think it's like around the same idea.
probably. But that's the thing, right? And this one, it's supposed to be space Skyrim.
And let
Like,
me tell you, I've not been a fan of other games that are space Skyrim, like Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds was a flop.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are hyped about it. Look, their advertisement is really good. Because
They did really cool ones.
their
Yeah.
advertisement's funny because they actually acknowledge that they haven't even started on the game yet. That they just have like an announcement that it's being worked on. Their advertisement is actually hilarious, but I mean, the game itself, I couldn't even get past like the first like 20 minutes. It was so dull. I could not like
Dull, clunky, slow, like
exact
yeah,
like it was take all the worst qualities from Skyrim and Fallout, and you got yourself Outer Worlds.
yeah, dude. And with Starfield, I want to mention this.
Munching it.
I want to munch it. I want to mention this. It was announced in 2018. Its release date
Was
is
it?
this year, November 11th.
Really?
4 years. 4
I-
years, dude.
And I forgot this existed.
Exactly, dude.
I
So-
thought it was Star Citizen this entire time. So
Yeah, no, dude. And it's not, they said they're not going to be really doing much with the Elder Scrolls 6 until they finish this one.
that is so sad. And I don't even care about this one.
Exactly. Like, unless they show really promising gameplay customization or something to really drive it home, I don't think it's going to be worth it.
No, it's not. I can tell you now,
But-
like, it's not.
Yeah, dude, it definitely will not. I really don't have any hope for it.
No.
And that's the thing is we're generating this way of not grabbing hope so we're not disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
With Halo, I wasn't grabbing hope because I didn't want to be disappointed. I got hope when I played through the campaign. I lost hope when it came out. Like,
Did you have like an early? Oh yeah, you did a little bit of early stuff with.
I did do early access stuff,
Oh.
and did some dev play and stuff, but
So
I had
sad.
hope for it. But again, they're continually making it worse, a worse and worse experience, especially with it being free to play.
Yeah. And then, now that we're talking about hope, let's talk about the game I was really hopeful for that let me down like quicker than I don't know, my grandma. Someone let me down in my life, I bet. Marvel's
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah,
I had so much hope for that. And then I lost all hope when I got it. It was honestly, it was such a waste of money because probably 7 months after, not 7 months. Oh, that's a while. Maybe 3 months after I bought the game, it came out on Game Pass, so I could have just gotten it free anyway.
yeah,
But I mean, it really should have just been a free to play game because they put a lot of hype towards it, and it was very restrained. I still had fun with it, but I mean, it's not anything that I'm gonna exactly rave about anymore because
yeah,
I mean, it was super linear. There was you'd imagine because this came out right after Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4.
yeah.
So people had a really good they had a bar set for how a Marvel game should be, and it looked well in the trailers and stuff like that. Like it looked like it could be a new Spider-Man but with Avengers, and that is what you want to do. Free roam around New York City with the Avengers. That would be amazing.
Right.
It would be like Lego. It would be like Lego of Marvel Avengers.
I was literally gonna say, yeah, it's like the Lego Marvel Avengers, where you could actually go around the entire Lego city and just cause mayhem.
I'd say that one is a better example of what that game should have been than
Yeah.
the actual game itself, because I mean, it wasn't even finished. I mean, most of the cutscenes you could chop down to like uh, laggy audio cutouts and
Yeah.
just graphical errors and stuff like that. I mean, very similar to Mass Effect when we'll get into that, but um, yeah, no,
Not to
it's
mention, I
so
don't even think
bad.
you could play the game on like a stream or YouTube video without music. Could you?
Oh
I mean,
no,
with music, could you? Because everything was copyrighted.
I got one of my streams copyrighted when I streamed it, and it got rid of my will to play it on stream.
Yeah, like why would you want to play a game that's completely copywritten? Like,
Well, that's the same with most Square Enix games, and I don't know why they do that. Like, if you're so upset about it, like nobody is claiming this game to be theirs. They just really, really don't want people to see their game, I guess.
yeah, because like it's all supposed to be exposure. That's what streaming and stuff is. That's
Yeah,
why people stream. It's exposure for the game too.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
yeah, like you obviously you're kind of following trends and stuff like that to get your own exposure, but it's like it's a what's the word that I'm looking for? Kind of a
advertisement, marketing.
no, it's like a where it benefits both of you, you know.
Oh, a win-win.
Sure, we'll go with that. Win-win. It's
Oh,
like a
it's a
win-win.
win-win.
You know,
It is.
you
I
get
mean, it really
advertisement, I
is.
get advertisement.
And so I've never understood that with video games, why they still keep continually doing that. I understand the copyright reasons, but if someone's creating content out of it, I just don't see an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll have to have a lawyer talk to us about it, but
Yeah, Nintendo is a huge like kind of group for that of like copyright issues. They copyright like it's
oh,
no one's
everything.
business.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into that, but I mean, we still kind of like them, so I don't want them to get on our bad side or us to
See,
get on theirs, and then they sue us.
I do have a problem with Nintendo releasing every single game at $60 and they're
Yeah.
able to get away with it. Like,
Hmm. I mean, most of
but
their games are like most of the games now are just kind of like, I mean, you could get like really awesome games for like $20.
yeah, so I mean, the whole thing, I guess going back into our things, gaming kind of seems to be letting a lot of people down more than
Hmm.
it is in, I guess, making excitement,
Yeah,
especially with advertising and stuff. But it's the indie games that are really driving the gaming market right now.
oh yeah. I mean, it's because it's such a small group of people. They put a lot more care into the game.
And that's the thing, especially with Hopu Games, with Risk of Rain.
Hmm.
Think about that. Like, the game is actually amazing. It's very fun. They
Yeah,
don't false advertise. They don't false promise. It's a very small, tight knit group working on the game. Like,
yeah, and they're
and
constantly improving. Like, I mean, the improvement from Rain 1 to Risk of Rain 2, like, such an
yeah,
improvement.
2D to 3D game
Not
with
many
your
games
small
will
team.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like how many games
Not
do
many
you
games
know?
can do that. Like,
Like how many games do you know that like are able to do that kind of exactly?
so they're a good example of not overhype, and just kind of they tell you what you're getting and you got it. Like,
Hmm.
we need more of that. But I really wanted to talk about, this has just been freaking burning in my head, this WWE battleground thing.
Okay, this came out not too long ago actually. I think maybe either 2019 or 20 like late 2019, early 2020 or something like
Okay.
that. It could have been sooner. I'll double check on that, but it was basically just in the hype of all the battleground games or like that's the
Battle
word, right?
Royale.
Battle Royale, yeah. So it came out in the hype of all that Battle Royale stuff. Did not do well. It is not a good Battle Royale kind of game.
Yeah, explain to me how that works.
So I think what it was like, I haven't even seen gameplay of this game. Like that's how unknown. Totally forgot it existed. But what I think it was supposed to be was like kind of a cartoonish like it looked like a bunch of like small versions of WWE fighters, like all going in this battle royale of like, you have like a bunch of different levels of wrestling and rings and stuff like that. I think what it was supposed to be was you go to rings like in like a kind of free roamish environment or something like that, and fight in rings and be the like last player standing, I guess. I
And
really
is it free to play or what
I
is it?
have no idea. I really should look this up right now because like um a lot of the reasons it flopped was because people said it looked just too unrealistic, and I was like, that's what made it flop, is the realism of the game. Let me see if I can uh oh yeah, it's available and it's $40.
Damn, I was gonna say we'll get it and we'll play it, but
I would I would love to. Let's see. World of Battle WWE 2K Battlegrounds is a professional wrestling video game developed by Saber Interactive and published by 2K Sports. It's released September 2020 in lieu of 2K's normally yearly WWE game.
okay.
Wait, which was canceled due to development troubles, low sales, and negative reception of the previously released WWE game? Wait, so is this even available?
That's a great question.
I have no. You know what? We'll bring this up more on the next podcast and see if this game is even like a thing anymore. Cause
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to talk about the games that never came to be too.
oh my gosh, there's so many good ones.
Yeah, dude,
I'm
remember
gonna
that dragon one? But we'll talk about that one in probably like the next
Yeah.
podcast or
You're
something.
gonna have to remind me of this dragon one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll have to talk about it more later.
But yeah, so yeah, we got the WWE thing. I know that you were pretty excited about this Overkill one. Let's talk about Overkill's Walking Dead.
Yeah, holy shit! So me and Brennan here, this guy
This
that
guy.
we're talking about right here. Yeah. So me and Brennan, we were huge fans of The Walking Dead when we were a little bit younger. I remember we kind of like hid to watch it because our parents were kind of, I would say my parents especially were a little bit weirded out by The Walking Dead. They didn't think it was going to be a good
Gory as all
thing
hell.
for kids to watch, right? So
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, it was not the best thing to watch as a kid, whatever, but life goes on.
Mhm.
Anyway, hearing they were gonna make the game that didn't look freaking cartooned and cell shaded to me was a really cool thing because I wanted that real experience with zombies. And seeing the Overkill Walking Dead game announced with this really cool graphics, like super realistic. The trailers were really awesome. This Left 4 Dead kind of style game, which me and Brennan were huge fans of the Left 4 Dead models and stuff, and Left 4 Dead in general. It, yeah, I don't remember the last time
No.
I heard about it until now.
Mhm. Last time I remember hearing about it was in 2018 when they announced it at E3. I was super excited because it looked great. And yes, I mean, yeah, we did like see more of a Left 4 Dead model in it, but I think that was like actually one of the biggest issues with it. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah, dude.
So,
I remember
um,
looking at some of the demo videos for it, and the levels seemed really short, and
well, because
I don't know.
yeah. So the thing is, it wasn't that like, yeah, it wasn't that Left 4 Dead model at all. It was Payday. Do you remember Payday? It's still kind of
Not
popular.
really.
Um, so the what's the word? Overkill. Overkill is the people who make Payday games.
Okay.
And so they thought Payday 2 would transfer well to being a zombie game, and it didn't. It really didn't. And that's all Overkill's Walking Dead was. Walking Dead has its big spell of what I would call sellout,
Yeah.
because I mean, how many times have you seen Walking Dead crossovers as of late, and Dead solo games and stuff like that? Like, they sell out, and sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad. I'd say that Saints and Sinners was a really good game, and
But
being
that was VR only, right?
yeah, and well, I think they might have had a no, it was VR only.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's only VR. So,
Yeah, and I mean, if
which
you're
cool
not
experience in general.
oh, it's so fun. Still like, I still kind of want to like. I haven't gotten super far into playing through it, but I definitely want to play through it again.
Is
Um,
it multiplayer?
no, that's the worst part about it.
I was gonna say if we could play that together on stream or something, that'd be really cool.
It would be fun because, especially because the fact that they have us like they have a version called the Trials. So they have the main story game, and then they have the Trials, and the Trials is Call of Duty Zombies in VR, basically.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool. I actually really enjoyed it. But anyway, Overkill. Yeah, I watched the gameplay of it. It was so boring. It was like 4 hours of gameplay, and it was payday. I mean, they had some cool ideas where like you could raid. For the story, you can raid like certain settlements and stuff like that. So a mixture of killing zombies and killing humans and stuff like that. But it was more of a tower defense, and I don't think anybody was prepared for that. It was just a tower defense game because like it would have been cool. It worked well for the idea of hunting down like human settlements and taking over human settlements, because that's kind of the payday idea. But once it transferred over to zombies, it's like, okay, why are we playing like Plants vs Zombies right now? Like, I mean, it really was just like overglorified Garden Warfare.
Wow, yeah. That's too bad. Speaking of Garden Warfare, what a weird game.
I mean, they made quite a bit Garden Warfare games.
They did, dude.
There's like three of them, right? Yeah. Like, how did you guys make that many? I didn't expect the first one to take off, but I mean, to each his own.
Yeah, so I guess good for them.
But yeah, I mean, it just never took off, and it was really sad because it could have been so great.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate.
Like
all these other games and stuff too, man. It's all just this overhype, man. Like I said, it's the overhype.
I know this is actually a really hard podcast for us because we were actually hyped for these games. Like, these games were supposed to be the next generation of video games.
Yep, exactly.
And especially, so we were talking about what's it called? Anthem. I forgot the name of it for a second. We were talking about Anthem. So now we should talk about Mass Effect Andromeda, which makes me real sad.
Yeah.
Man.
I remember, dude, you and Mass Effect, man, that was one of your little babies because of your brother or something like that.
He introduced me into it, right? He introduced me, and I fell in love with it. In fact, they have the Legendary Edition out, and I'm replaying through all of the games on Legendary Edition.
Gotcha.
It's so great. But yeah, Andromeda is. We'll get into this a little bit more, like, of my deep anger with it in another podcast where we talk about pre-orders and we discuss if they're good or bad. I say bad because I wasted $80 fucking on Mass Effect Andromeda, and it failed so unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
That game, there's so much the reason why it sucked. It was horribly written. The characters were not, like... They weren't, like... What's the word? There's no emotional connection to them, and that's, like, the whole fact about Mass Effect games, is because when a character dies, you should have a real good, like, connection to them, and it should be a really hard death for you. But I was more rooting for more death in that game, honestly. I hated the characters. They were not fun. The animation wasn't finished. I 100%, this is actually true. I experienced a scene totally T-posed around my first time playing through the game. First and
Yikes.
last, I should say. It was the funniest thing. I wish I had a clip. I would have showed that clip, but yeah, it was so bad. Oh my gosh! And then like 2 minutes after that cutscene, I had to wait full 2 minutes because I realized that the cutscene hadn't ended and the game froze on me on the cutscene. So yeah, I have a really bad experience with that game. It was so bad. I can't believe how much money I wasted on that game.
I remember it was supposed to be like this nice interplanetary open world kind of thing, right?
Mhm. Oh yeah. I mean, I can't deny the gameplay for it was fun. Like being like having the kind of powers that you had in Mass Effect 1 to 3 and then
Hmm.
seeing those kind of upgraded a bit. Like it was so good because Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect 1 to 3 kind of plays out more like Gears of War, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And Mass Effect Andromeda played more out like kind of a Breath of the Wild kind of situation. We're not as free roamish, but I guess would like definitely a larger environment to explore and
Yeah.
like it gave you a lot of worlds to explore, but none of them were worth the time to um actually go explore. And then so now let's just get into Banjo and Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Oh my gosh, dude! Such a freaking fun little stupid
It was
multiplayer thing.
horrible, but it wasn't bad. It was a horrible Banjo and Kazooie game, but it wasn't a bad game in general.
Yeah, I mean the story I gotta say was probably the worst story I've ever really done because it wasn't engaging. It wasn't that Banjo Kazooie. You can turn into all this cool stuff, like do all these cool things. It just wasn't the Banjo Kazooie game that I craved.
No.
But
I
on
mean,
the other hand, the multiplayer with building your own stupid ass vehicles to see if they would work and then fight each other. Holy shit, that was so fun.
you know, it's kind of funny that we usually bring up some of these games that like really are supposed to prove our point, but then we kind of accidentally prove our point wrong. And Banjo is one of those. Because, look, like I said, it was a horrible Banjo and Kazooie game, especially because what it was supposed to be was Banjo 3E, is how they called it. Using the Banjo
Ew.
Kazooie. Oh, Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, and then the very end of the game, um, whatever the witch names is.
Gertrude.
Gargantuan bitch.
Gargantuan green
The
green
Gargantuan Green.
the Gargantuan green. That's the name. That's the witch's name.
Yeah, but Gargantuan Green, at the very end of the game, she says, "I'll see you in Banjo 3E," and people were so hyped about it. And
And then
then,
they give us our literal nuts.
well,
They
here's the
bootload
thing:
us.
that's another thing that they lied about in their game adverts, and this is why we need to have this conversation about the game advertisement podcast episode because they lied in their freaking thing. They kind of like showed off that this game would look just like the others and look amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like Banjo Kazooie in this modern graphic, and then all of a sudden it came out, and it's like, why is there a freaking car, and why is Banjo fat? Like, why? Like, I feel like they could have turned it around if they continued with the idea that like Banjo was fat, and then you get him in shape, and
Yeah.
then like the game continues or whatever. But but then like Banjo 3 got canceled, and then Nuts and Bolts came out because they sold the company off to, or they sold the game off to a different company. I think it was still Rare that made it, but like they had another team helping, which I
Yeah.
think primarily focused on cars and stuff like that. So that's why we got the weird car game of Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts that we got.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
Bah.
I mean, like, with all that said, it still kind of wasn't the worst game. The story, yes, non-existent. Like, I don't even think there was a story to it.
That sounds like Halo 5.
Ooh, burn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, story was not existent, but the multiplayer for it was so fun. Like just flying around. I mean, we recreated so many stupid things.
Oh yeah, TIE fighters and like the Millennium Falcon and like all. I
I
mean,
made
to the
Sanic in that
extent.
game, and like a flyable Sanic. It was amazing.
Right.
But like, it would have been that would have been a great Lego game.
That would, huh?
Oh my gosh!
Making your own freaking things, man.
Like, I mean, they kind of have like that with Lego Worlds, but even then, that's another game that I think flopped. Like, I mean, it was good, but it really did not pick up.
Yeah, and especially because they had like the first person stuff, and you couldn't really change your FOV, and like
And even the building for it was clunky.
very clunky, very
Like,
gross.
That's why I didn't like, because I have the capability of playing it now, I think, but I just couldn't re-download it because there wasn't a point to it. It really just kind of like, it was so broken that you couldn't do anything about building. Like, when it worked, yeah, but
Right.
like most of the time it was a lot of like placing or grabbing stuff from the inventory and then realizing that you can't grab anything from the inventory because you haven't unlocked it yet, and then when you unlock it there's not a like capable place of placing it.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, this little bonus of game that failed was Lego Worlds.
Lego Worlds, dude. Yeah, who would have thought?
That's the fun part about these podcasts. Is like the talking about it just makes you think about other games and stuff like that, and then you come to realize more and more of the crap that they really try and sell you on.
Oh yeah.
So we do have. Let's see.
Oops.
Oh my gosh, I forgot this was on the list, and I mentioned it earlier. Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
I was hyped for that game because you got me into Crackdown 2.
Yep.
It
I
was
remember
so
it 'cause
fun.
It was definitely like this third person GTA superhero kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and like exactly that. It was like you were a super cop in a kind of GTA world.
Yeah. Which sounds amazing.
On paper.
And number 2 was fun. But then number 3 came out and Terry Crews ruined it.
Was he the problem?
He was the main character.
Was he? I don't think
think
he was
so,
even in
yeah.
the game.
Yeah, he was like the main dude in there.
Really? I thought that was like one of the big things is that he was like a big part of the advertisement and then he wasn't even in the game, cuz I remember like I guess he was in the game but more as a side character, whereas like in
Oh, it could have been
Cyberpunk,
that, yeah.
yeah, because it was a big thing about Cyberpunk that Keanu Reeves was like a main character. He wasn't just like a side cameo. He was just a straight main character.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've heard he was actually pretty difficult in the process of that, but that could just be like the Cyberpunk development team making excuses for the game.
Oh, so like during like acting and all that stuff, like he was giving him a hard time, like
Like I've heard
wasn't
that, like
cooperating.
I've heard that was like some problems with it, but I mean, look, I don't know Keanu Reeves personally, but I've always heard that he's amazing. He's an amazing guy. Like he's a really
Well, that's
humble
pretty-
person from what I know.
Yeah. That's all we really know about him.
I mean, truly, kind of is because, like, I mean, he's a great actor, but I mean, I think there was like a movie that I think it was like one of the later, like Matrix movies that most of the people didn't want to come back or something like that, and he was like a big reason why the later movies happened.
Mm.
I could be wrong. That could be. I could also
Yeah.
be confusing it with Robert Downey Jr., who made sure that like he gave up some of his check to go to like his coworkers and stuff like that because they weren't getting as much as him,
Yeah.
which is
I
good.
mean,
Good guy.
obviously we'll never really know
Mhm.
what's going on. It could all be schemes and stuff to make them kind of come out into the light more or whatever. I really don't know what's going on, and nor will we really ever know what.
No.
But
Definitely won't.
But on the other hand, going back down to Crackdown 3, I guess. So
Oh
we're
yeah,
going
sorry,
back
we
to,
totally forgot about that.
yeah, like most games.
So I think that it was really sorry, didn't mean to like kind of ignore that joke, man. But I think most of it was the environment was supposed to. I think that was supposed to be like the best main selling point of it was a completely
That,
destructible environment,
yep.
and then it came out, and then people were complaining that it was not great. Like it was like really hard to even get that destructibility.
Well, you could only do it in multiplayer. You couldn't
Wait,
do it in single
really?
player.
That was a thing?
Yep.
Why would they
You
do
could
that? That's
only
even a worse place to do it.
Yep, so you could only do the destructible environments in multiplayer, not in the story.
Yeah, why did they even
That's why it was so annoying for I think a lot of people where it was like I just want to go around when I unlock my freaking rocket launcher and shoot it at every building I want.
And why was multiplayer even separated?
Don't know.
It's two separate things. If you like, because Crackdown is on Game
Oh yeah, it
Pass
was
right
two
now.
separate like games.
Yeah,
It
Crackdown
was
is
like
on
literally
Game
like
Pass,
almost yeah.
and there's two. There's two. There's Crackdown 3, and then there's one where you actually like see two people. It's like Crackdown multiplayer.
It's pathetic.
It's so stupid. Like I can't believe.
I mean, that was obviously another game that just ruined expectations because they promised that they delivered it, but they delivered it in the worst way possible.
it's man, I can't even with that game. Like can't even with any of these games. I'm so disappointed. Like
It's sad that we have to talk about it.
I know, like we really want to like talk good about games, and obviously more podcasts will have better stuff to say about games. But for the most part, I mean, like we're coming from a real place of just hurt.
It really is. I mean, we've been hurt by games.
Yeah, and like like I saw a post recently, and it's so sad because of how true it is. It's like doesn't matter how many great games come out, doesn't matter like what new advances in video games like happen. Older you get, like it never feels the same.
Yeah,
It's
we're
so
never gonna
sad.
feel that same amount of hype that we did with as we were kids, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's inevitable.
We'll
But
never get that same experience of like booting up the GameCube and playing Sonic Adventure for the first time or something like that. Like you can't, and then like maybe we'll get like the experience of playing Elden Ring or something like that for the first time. But even then, I wouldn't say that's an experience to rave about. I'm most likely wanting to just blow my own brains out every time I boot that game up, but I still play it.
yeah, but I
Um,
mean, all the hype. It's. I think we have to learn as of now just to kind of keep our expectations as the bare minimum as we can. Don't expect anything because why would we? I mean,
no.
every single time a game comes out and it's almost worse than the previous or predecessor of that game, or the same company trying to make a different game. Which, speaking of which, Bungie's working on this a third-person multiplayer focused game. They announced that.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like for that, even that's like with Destiny being good, and they're still updating Destiny, and they're still doing a lot of things to Destiny. To me, that's the only game I can rely on because I already know what I'm gonna get. They tell you, and they have a way of releasing. You know,
When was that announced? What are they?
it's been more rumored than anything. But what was announced is they acquired and I don't know if they trademarked or whatever the name for the game, but it's going to be called Matter. It could be the game name called Matter, or it
like
could
the
be their project name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't really 100%ed yet, but they do have that name Matter, and then they have leaks of the game being like a third-person multiplayer focused game.
Well, I mean, they know how to, like they know how to sell a game. Even if
That's
the game
yep,
has like its issues, they still know how to sell that game. Like Bungie
I
knows what they're
agree.
doing for the most part. Like, yeah, like Destiny has its problems, but Bungie still
Sure.
knows how to reel them back in. I mean, they get me all the time. Every time I keep saying like, "Oh, I hate Destiny. Oh, I love Destiny. Oh, I hate Destiny." I'm back on my love, but I don't know when that's going to change again.
Right, and that's what scares me,
Mm-hmm.
But all we can do is kind of just, like I said, keep our expectations extremely low
Yeah.
and just hope
Yeah.
out of anything.
It's a lot of hope because, like, it's just so hard to put your trust in people who've hurt you. And
Right.
that goes for a
Everyone's
lot of
broken
things,
our
but
trust.
that goes for a lot of things, but I mean, we're talking about video games here. Come
Yeah, we're nerds and we're babies and we poop our pants and
on.
eat diapers.
Um, well, I mean, we've talked about all these like really old games, new games that failed. Let's talk about some old games that failed.
Yeah,
Superman 1999.
I have no idea anything about this. You're gonna have
Trust
to
me,
enlighten
you
me.
do know. I think you know, because this is like ye old of gaming news.
Okay.
Superman 1999 was the Superman game that came out on the N64 and was unbelievably horrible to like the point that it was almost unplayable. Like there's speed runs to try and get through the game just because of how bad it was. Like I think the winner of the speed run is whoever quits first.
Wow.
So it really from like I don't know if there was a whole lot of combat involved with the game. Most of the time, the biggest complaint was that his flying was absolute doo-doo water. And we've gotten some pretty good N64 flying games. I mean, like we got Star Fox and stuff like that. Like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't really
Right.
hard to fail at Star Fox.
Starbucks.
Yeah, it was a,
Starbucks 64, dude.
it's not hard to fail at Star Fox. It's like flying in a straight line the entire time. But
Yeah.
I mean, they still had an idea of how to like do that. But Superman 1999 was a lot of flying around in a huge metropolis city and a lot of flying through rings and stuff like that. And that was the ultimate like hatred for it because you'd fly through those rings and you'd probably get one or two rings before you have to do like a 14-minute UE and then fly back and get the third ring that you missed because the flying
Okay.
was terrible. Like people could not control that for the life of. I've seen like clips of that game. Just watching it hurts. Like I could feel the pain of those people playing through that game. It was so bad. Like so hard to watch. But yeah, that was really I mean my 2 cents on Superman 1999 because that was bad.
Just
Like
another false promise.
false promise. Yeah, exactly that. And then I think this is the last game that we have on subject. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the last one. It's the Atari ET game. Do you ever heard about this one?
Maybe briefly. It sounds familiar.
This is the one that has like a huge like this one got some pretty interesting topics about it because people thought that the game was so bad that they tried getting rid of it to the point of like taking it to the desert and burying it to try and forget about it. So like there
A little
I don't
over the
know
top.
I don't know if this was ever proven, but I like I think this is why it was like a controversy because it might have been proven. I don't remember the story exactly, but basically there was the whole lore that the game was so unplayable that the company did everything they could to grab every copy of that game and take it to the desert in Mexico and bury it in the ground and forget it existed.
You know what? I don't blame for.
Because like
know the
from
story.
what it was that it was like it was kind of it was early games of video games, so not a whole lot of tutorial in where you should be going. So it was a lot of exploration and people like that in video games, but not for ET because it was a lot of hope. It was a lot of hope that you got it right. And if you got it wrong, you have to spend 15 minutes backtracking to make sure that you could maybe do it again.
Yikes.
So there was like one specific thing that people complained about, and it was this like scene where you have to like pick a hole to jump in, and one of the holes was a right hole. The other like 4 holes was the wrong hole. And if you got one of those holes wrong, you got put into a pit, and you had to get out of the pit somehow and backtrack your way, and it took forever to get back there. And what made it so unbelievably hard is because you could probably like get to the point of figuring out which hole is the right hole, but what's the chances of you getting there? Slim to none, because all of the holes have like a gravity field that suck you into it. So if you like hit the hole on the wrong edge, you will get dragged into that hole. I know you're laughing because this sounds like a huge innuendo, Justin. It's not. You get into holes, okay?
Never know, man.
It was really bad. It was really bad. I watched a documentary on the guy who made it, and he was so embarrassed. Like, and he's actually a pretty interesting story because he's the reason a lot of Atari games were ported to the Atari system. And this guy didn't even know how to program games.
Whoa.
So that's why there's a lot of reasons why E.T. failed, and one of those reasons was because it was rushed.
I don't think E.T. went home.
No, he didn't. He died in a pit.
He died in a
pit. He died in a pit in the desert of Mexico. No, so he actually got really rushed on that game. By that time, he actually knew how to program games, but he got super rushed. It was supposed to be finished by like Christmas, and he wasn't. So he finished the game in like 3 months. Like,
wow.
From start to finish, finished the game in 3 months, and then had it out by Christmas. And that is where the world exploded from the worst E.T. game in existence. Probably the only E.T. game in existence, but it was bad. It was super bad. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can find like a Drontron video of him actually playing it.
Interesting.
Because I know he went through like a bunch of old video games a long time ago in the past. But yeah, like it was bad. He didn't even know how to. This guy didn't even know how to program games, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
He learned on the job. He lied his way into the job, and this was the time, like, he described it as, like, most of the time nobody was paying attention. Everybody was smoking weed and just getting through their day. But yeah, he found a manual on his desk, and he just read through that manual, and he's like the reason that we got the Atari as a home console. Like, kind of one of the biggest reasons that we have that. So I mean, like,
so don't go to college.
Sometimes fake it till you make it works.
Yeah, out of everything, video games companies. Yeah, that sounded weird. Video game companies, when they fake it, it doesn't. It just doesn't work.
Doesn't. Because these are people who
the
have
time
the
that it
skills
doesn't
and
work.
they don't want to use it. These are the people, like the guy who made the Atari like ports and stuff like that. He was the guy who didn't know how to do it, and he just had the passion to do it.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Brennan.
It really is. I would suggest
I
watching
feel
that
so inspired.
I'd suggest watching that documentary. It's actually really good. It has a
I actually might.
it has a lot of Ready Player One subject, because around that time is when Ready Player One came out on book form and
On book.
on book form, you know, where it was originally released.
You're right. The original release of on book form of Ready Player One.
Yeah. So they interview that guy a lot, and they talk about video games because, you know, that dude is a huge nerd, and they talk a lot about D&D and stuff like that. Like, super cool. And that's also another thing. I'd suggest reading Ready Player One. Better story than the movie, but the movie's still really good. It's one of those
Have better ingredients.
better business Papa John's. Is that what it is?
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's, baby.
Not sponsored by Papa John's.
But
Sponsored by
real
Papa John's. It's like our old thing, you know, like not sponsored by Papa John's. Sponsored by Papa John's.
What are they
day-
going to call it now that Papa John is gone?
Papa Jim's.
Papa Gons?
Papa Gons.
Or Papa John's gone?
Papa Nons.
Papa Nons.
That's
Pop
the
and Pills.
ultimate betrayal of getting rid of Papa John. I mean,
Papa gone.
he's not like Subway where you could just get rid of Jared for obvious reasons, but like you can't get rid of Papa John. He's in the name.
Yeah, dude, that's too bad. Anyway,
Yeah,
to wrap up, video games companies. Oh my gosh, why do I say it weird?
to games companies.
Video games companies. Video game companies. If you're listening,
Please stop,
Stop.
what you're doing.
stop
it.
everything that you're doing, and listen to people that have no idea how to make games.
Exactly. Because funny enough, those people know what they're doing more.
It seems like it these days, dude.
Look, we're not saying listen to us, but listen to more legitimate gamers.
Who have grown up with the game.
Exactly. I'm not saying
And
that you
the
have to listen to
franchise.
us. Just saying we're the template.
No, you actually you have to listen to us, otherwise you will fail.
Yeah. I hope you know that everything we said that sounds serious is a joke. I don't want to blow my brains out to Elden Ring. I actually enjoy that game. And
Right.
you don't have to listen to us. We're not threatening you to do it.
Everything in
But
this is,
you know,
is not...
sponsored by a threat, you have to listen to us.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all in all, keep expectations low. Games have destroyed our lives, and they've also, but they've also been nice to us.
Yeah.
Some games know how to do it right.
Sometimes you can get a great moment, like waiting up until 2 in the morning at a sleepover to play Minecraft because the Ender Dragon just came out. And sometimes you get like Superman 1999, and you wake up Christmas morning and realize that your mom might not love you.
Well, no one's mom actually loves them. They're
It's
just
true.
obligated.
Yeah, it's real force. It's a joke. Well, Justin, is there anything you want to announce? Like- So thank you guys so much for listening. Obviously go check out youtube.com/virtuallynerdy. If that's how you link it. Do I even run that account anymore? Why do I not know anything about my own YouTube account? Oh my gosh.
Like the account you lost for us 10
Hey,
years ago.
shut up, okay? I don't want to. I put the note that had the password in a drawer at my old house, and then we got rid of that drawer, and I think the note died along with it. So, look, it's not my
And
fault.
no one needs context.
Yeah, no,
Anyway, thank you
yeah.
for having me.
Remember to follow and rate the podcast. It lets us know that you like what we're doing, because we don't know that. What do we know? We talk
Nothing.
about video games on a podcast, for God's sake. we
We
don't
talk
know.
about-
This is why we talk about it, because we don't have any life skills. We need you to tell us what to do.
So thank you.
You know.
And on that note, we don't know how to end it again, so bye!
Bye!